Good afternoon, this is George Lees in the city of Aberdeen today with a statue of Edward VII in front of me with all of his global owning regalia. That is the globe, in his left hand with the windmill blades on it for all of the massive fascist jokes in world history. That is the windmill blades for Hitler Rothschild's swastika, and he's got the mace on the other side, which is the joke about the mace being the blunt instrument that takes down all of the contenders. This is, I believe, the sire of Winston Churchill, and he is the real biological grandparent of the Queen. But that is how weak Winston Churchill's royal blood was. And you can see in the middle of that statue, it looks like an erection for him if you take it from the left angle. And what we've got in the middle of the statue is the crown for the false monarchy and the totally bastard monarchy that all of them were sired under Queen Victoria's reign by Rothschild. That's 9 of the 11 babies that she had were sired by Rothschild, which makes them totally illegitimate. Okay, this is the one that had the only legitimate child murdered, and that was Marcus Manuel, and I can't remember where the murder was done, but that child was raised on the Isle of Wight, and that is the film Being There that was made by Peter Sellers. All of it is a massive piss take about the genealogy of the royals and their inbred cousins. So the parent of Peter Sellers was Lord Mountbatten, who later was killed, murdered, because he tried to break into the drug running syndicate run by Churchill, Onassis and his killer, Winston Churchill. So that is the massive people. They were replaced by the new triumvirate, that is Lord Plunkett, Lord Porchester and the Lord Carnarvon, and the Irish women were all over the pubs last night. But what I want you to see is in the middle of that statue there is the patron saint St. Andrew that never ever lived, and he's the patron saint of 19 countries including Russia. And there was a woman from Russia last night in the pub in Dundee, and she taught me to say I love you, which I already knew from the Great Escape movie, which features all of the families that are part of the massive Colditz issues. So you've got the cross on its side there, and I've learned today as I transited into the town that in the town of Aberdeen, the city of Aberdeen, they have cockneys, not cockneys, and that is the naying and the denial that Jesus ever existed, and the absolute truth that when the Piso family wrote the Bible that he was replaced by the donkey, yet the ass in the story and the wild ass, the zebra, for Rothschild and Investec. I'm going to take you around the corner now because the museums are shut. All of the religious history of Scotland was launched out of this place. That is the massive sectarian battles between Episcopalian for Piso and the Church of Scotland, which is given another fancy name, but its Bible was written here by Miller, and it was printed by the Miller and the other family members, and the bishop that was in charge at that time in the 15th century, they were able to print a Church of Scotland Bible when Ronnie Barker's family in England and the rugby players that were in the Bristol team and the England team, it's not Tyndall this time, it's He played number 8 for the Bristol side and the England side. All of them are the English Bible authors. And the people that were the Bradfords, that's Jimmy Nail's relatives on the Mayflower, they also wrote and printed a new version of the Bible for the Pilgrim Fathers to take from Plymouth, into America and launch the massive pagan cult. And then they call themselves America's native sons in their folk songs. Okay? So there is the chain of office around his neck that is the Piso hoof. That is the joke in Dundee that the Howth cemetery is where all of the people are now that used to be in the Frankfurt ghettos and used to be in the Roman court way back then. They now have mansions all over the world, like Archie Rosebery, the Prime Minister of Scotland, who's got 13 massive elite mansions, one of them in Naples as the biggest piss take in world history. That is Hannah Rothschild married Archie Rosebery. He is the cousin of the Balfours of Whittingham and the Balfours just along the road in the Kingdom of Fife. That is the massive joke that Scotland will never have its own king. Okay, I'm going to go down now and show you so there he is with his mace and his chain of office, which is the horseshoe for the Piso family that have run the corrupted governments ever since Augusta was the emperor in Rome. And that is the Piso family that were married into Julius Caesar and then became the lovers. The Bonos then became the lovers of Arius Calpurnius Piso, who was descended, he was the bastard child of Emperor Caligula and Mariam in the Roman court. Yet that is Mariam, who was Gaius Piso's wife, but she was murdered, he was murdered by Nero, and they murdered Nero to get revenge for all of that. Okay, so I thought that we were going into John Wood's fabulous park that they're making all the fuss about. I think we are. Okay, that's John Wood, the head of BP, who now calls himself, his organisation, INEOS, in one of the hundreds, maybe even thousands of subsidiaries of BP. That is British Petroleum, for which Harold Wilson, the Bilderberger with the Piso pipe, carpet bombed Aden. And as I drove through the village today, in the Suter bus, for the people that were the relatives of the ancient Egyptian pharaoh bloodline that is Soter, there's a magpie. Oh wow. All the places where the treason is hidden, they're in large numbers. That's Newcastle. That is the Bladen races for the Leiden Pilgrim Fathers. Oh me lad. And that is the naming of the football club, and all of the teams that are supported by them and the Mackhams. That is the Churchills of Sunderland. Earl Churchill of Sunderland is the Mackhams. There are no family homes or no history of that left. I thought this was bigger than this, but they've got another penile structure on the other side of the road. There it is. Just like the horrible legacy of the jute mills in Dundee. Okay, everything is granite here. And to scare the punters, they tell you that is radioactive. That is the granite things that are used for the curling rinks and all the global sporting diversions. This, I believe, was going to be turned into a concrete bowl, and you can see that it is currently the shrubbery, in memory of those who have fallen in war, but they don't even have a war memorial in it. Okay, and there's His Majesty's Theatre, and the whole of it is a mockery. The whole of it is a mockery. Yeah, that's John Wood that runs all those shipbuilding companies. There is a fishing festival, and that is the fishing that they have allowed to be raped and pillaged by Lord Sanderson Abowden, who was the man who sacked me on the river for refusing to kill fish during the period when you're not allowed to kill fish on the River Tweed. And he ran the fish quota scams for Mrs. Thatcher for 20 years. Now runs the golfing jerseys and all the banking and Lidl supermarkets. Yeah, all of the scams there with the Co-op supermarket. That is the crashing of those entities. And all of it brings a profit stream for that leading Freemason, yeah, like you've seen with the British Royals and the relatives of Edward VII, who wasn't allowed to be king because he was so deeply involved in the murder of the true claimant at that time, Marcus Manuel of Portugal. And that is why Manuel is always in the Basil Fawlty comedy teams. Yeah, and they slap him around and they make a fool of him. They do not allow you to mention the war when the Germans are there, but Basil Fawlty does, because he is the joke about Basil Fawlty being the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, and all of the Nazi loot and even the gold from the teeth of the victims of the fire pans, yeah, are in the vaults in Geneva. Yeah, and in Basel still. Yeah, that is the huge joke. And there is, on that end of this theme park, there is William Wallace and all of the people that are supposed to be looking. So when I drove through the beautiful little village of Montrose today, which is where the man was the referee in the fight between Rob Roy McGregor and the cocky little Englishman that is the traitor, that is the naming of the Cunningham Racing Club in the Kelso Racecourse. Yeah, that is Archie Cunningham, and he was eventually killed by Rob Roy McGregor, who was on the verge of being executed by Archie Cunningham, but he grabbed the end of his sword and managed to stab him with his own. And that is the end of that movie, but that is William Wallace. That, yeah, all of the people that are in charge of little James's selection of the people that are going to become the next kings, yeah, that is the Tudors and all of the manipulation of Scottish history. I don't know whether William Wallace ever lived, but there's another statue of him. Lord Sanderson Abowden has one right next to David Murray's golf course, yeah, which is the place where they have the donkeys in the field, because they know, all of the global Freemasons know, that Jesus never lived. Yeah, that is the biggest joke in world history. Okay, and that is William Wallace, and he looks a bit like Billy Connolly with that one, with the beard, and I've shown you the images of Billy Connolly and the relations of him and the images of Brian Cox to Pertinax. Yeah, so Billy Connolly's look-alike in the Roman Emperor lines is the Hadrian linkage. No, sorry, it's the Antonine linkage, and that's the Antonine Wall all across Scotland. And we're right on the end. I passed through the beautiful little village of Stone. It's not Stonehenge. It's a little fishing village, and they've got a fishing festival on right next door to it. It's where my doctor's children, the man who brought me into this world in the cottage hospital in Kelso, he was Knox. Yeah, and that is the religious joke through all of history, that Knox is the radical that does down the Episcopalian Church, which has that horseshoe as its icon, and that is the launch in Catholicism of the the Pascal candle and the Alpha to Omega jokes that you're now well aware of. Okay, so the name, it's Stonehaven, is just to the south of this city, and there this morning I saw, as we passed through, as we passed through the town below that, which is Montrose, where that duel was refereed by the man who played Richie Rich in the movies about religion and Thomas More. He died recently, and he was the referee in that. But as I went through the city centre, there are massive statues all along the city square, and they are the Humes of the Borders. That's Alec Douglas Home, his estate, and he was also involved in the BP scams in the Garden of Eden. Yeah, all of them are piss takes. Yeah, so that is the Humes who have their home as the Hirschel, and that is Hill and Hirsch, and all of the jokes for Ralph Fiennes in the Bloodline. And the Watsons that I've talked about, because they retired to Aberdeen, they were my best friends like the Knoxes at school, yet their body doubles were in the pub last night. It's an amazing likeness. Yeah, and the woman told me how to say I love you in Russian, like she did for the people that were escaping, like Cavendish and the mafia members of everyone in that cast. Ives, all of them are the Colditz style victims of pretending that they are imprisoned by their allies in the profiteering war. I'm going to stop now. The museum is shut. I cannot find anything. So what happened in Aberdeen and around here was that Bishop Elphinston and the Millers were the first people to print the Church of Scotland Bible, and I'm going to find out as much as I can about that. I believe that nothing will be left untouched on that. When you look it up on Wikipedia now, you get the Renaissance in Scotland. Yeah, and one of the tabs is on religion, and the Renaissance is the mass murder of all of the religious denominations all across Europe, because that is happening in the 30 Years' War, and then after that we get the 100 Years' War. That's all the famous names. Andy Murray was in it. Yeah, the Leslies that were the captain of the Scottish rugby team for a while were in it. They're now in New Zealand. Andy Murray is on the Forbes rich list as cover for those massive numbers of Murrays. And when they said to me that I needed to go further up to find some of the history, they referred to the Moray Firth, and that is where Madonna married, and Madonna is Ciccio in the Bloodline, and she's married to Penn, the joke about the Piso Bible authors. Yeah, all of them are in the same for-profit teams, and many of them are on the Forbes rich list. So this is Sir Ian Woods now. It used to be Sir John Wood of BP and Ineos, which is the inscription on Jesus' cross. Yeah, they also own that African company that shot the people in the pay round in the negotiations for their pay rise. Yeah, and that is in Falkirk. All of my emails to all of the union leaders that were involved in that and had to step down, otherwise the whole of BP would have been shut down, according to Sir Ian Wood and his negotiators' threats. Okay, so they're going to turn this into a skating park, a concrete bowl, and it looks as if they've already done away with half of it. Yeah, and across I thought it was bigger than this the last time I visited, and it's right under William Wallace's, succumbed to what the advice was from King Robert the Bruce before the advice was given by Longshanks that you will never have a Scottish king, and what you will have instead is my pick of this man, John de Balliol, from the Tees River Valley in England, and he is the founder of Oxford University, which is immune from bombing. Yeah, through the whole of World War II with Cambridge, Göttingen and Heidelberg. Yet this soundtrack may be taken down when the video is made, and that will be the reason for it. That is what has happened when I made a massive hour-long video on the no bombing zones and all of the events in Dresden and Cologne. That is the two Ronnies joke in Cologne. Yet that is the Rhone River Valley. Yeah, massive piss takes, and all the elite families are still in charge of all of the political organisations, and that massive His Majesty's mafia operation that has seen all of the illegitimate children for 160 years living a life in luxury and stealing from the rest of the world. It's the biggest colony that ever existed, and that is the empire upon which the sun is never alleged to set. That could be Sir Ian Wood up in the top corner. Yeah, and that's to the far left of William Wallace and His Majesty's Theatre in Aberdeen. I'm going to stop now and just show you that all of those icons are windmill-like. Yeah, they are swastika-like, and that is the huge piss take for every Mason across Europe, that the swastika and the windmill blades are the same thing. Yet that is the menace of the gods in the heavens to the murderous, genocidal humans that now own the human race and the whole of its globe. Okay, gonna stop there. Do you get it? Yeah, that is Michael Bublé's Dance of Death, and that's the reason that his children have all those cancer problems now. He was born and his family are out of Naples, where the Bible was faked up. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Yeah, and can you see His Majesty's emblazoned on the roof? And right on the top of the dome for Constantinople, they have the Christian cross, which is also the windmill blades and the swastika for Hitler Rothschild. Gonna stop. Bye bye. There are two Witherspoons in Aberdeen. I'll get some authentic history there, unless they take them down at lunchtime. Bye bye.